What is going on, guys? If you have been looking for a super simple and easy tutorial on how to change your oil in your Hellcat, well, you have found the video. Behind me is my 2015 Challenger Hellcat, and I had to learn a couple things about Hellcats when I first got one because there were certain things I did not know. Like when you do the oil change, you also have to change out the oil cooler oil. So given that I had to learn that, I want to share that knowledge with y'all. So as you can see, I have mine on my lift, which makes my life a lot easier. If you have to do it on the ground, I would highly suggest using one of these jacks. This is a low profile jack, so it's very, very low to the ground, and this is the only one that I can fit underneath the front of my car. So the first thing I do is loosen my fill cap to get the air out. So once I have it off, I just kind of leave it in there so dust doesn't get in there while I'm working underneath. So after you have it up, you're going to be taking off this right here. So you've got a 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter, and 10 millimeter, and then this whole plate comes out. So to get to the oil cooler drain, it's actually underneath this belly pan as well. So I pulled out these two clips right here, and then there's a third one right here. You just pull it out like that, and then it comes out. And then that way you can access the drain plug that's right here. I'm also gonna go ahead and take these out too, just so that this is out of the way easier so that the oil can drain better. And take the clips out on this side too. And voila, there you have it. 13 millimeter selfie. Oh. I really like this oil filter wrench because it gets in really nice tight places where you don't have a whole lot of room for like those big bulky ones. It's a JM3. Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna let that drain for a little bit and then we'll move on to the oil cooler. I'm gonna put my drain plug back in so that I can move my drain pan over to the oil cooler. For those of y'all that are like me and really like to torque things, the torque spec for the drain plug is 20 foot-pounds. And then I'm gonna clean up this little area over here from all of the dripping. Alright, now we're gonna do the oil cooler draining. So I thought this was recording. Apparently it wasn't. But I went ahead and took out the drain plug that was right here in the oil cooler. And so now that is draining. And the spec on that is to basically let it drain for 5 minutes or until there is 1 drop every second. So while that is draining, I will be putting on the new filter back onto the housing while that's doing its thing, and then the plug is going to go back in, and this gets torqued also to 19 foot-pounds, so about the same as the oil pan drain plug as well. So I got a new Mopar filter. I'm one of those weirdos that likes to put my current mileage on it, so that way if my reminder thing on my dash is off or whatever, I know. So my current mileage is 34,800. And I'm also one of those that pre-fills their filters. And I am going to be trying out a new oil. This is the Driven Racing Oil. And I heard of them because I reached out to Bailey's High Performance out of Fort Worth on what oils that they run in their Hellcats because they're huge with Hellcats. And so then I reached out to Driven specifically for recommendations on what to put in mine based on what I use it for, as well as based on where it lives. So being that it's in Lubbock, Texas, it's a very dry heat, and so they personally recommended the 15W50 that they make, so I'm going to be using that. OEM spec says 0W40 Pennzoil SRT. I wanted to try something a little different since I just feel like mine's not as happy with the Pennzoil, and I wanted to kind of see what other guys are using that are having really good luck with other oils. Always lube your O-rings with clean engine oil. Okay, so another thing is that once the seal touches the surface, like right there, you want to have it touch the surface and then tighten another half turn or 180 degrees. So also it's nice if you have writing on there, because then you can tell when it needs to be 180. Right there, boom, 180. Now you know it's the tightness that it needs to be. I would say that's definitely suitable drippage. So I'm gonna lower this down so I can get to it. Plug back in. And then this one was a 15 millimeter. And this one torques to 19 foot-pounds. Now we put the belly pans back on. So now we're going to go ahead and fill it. Remember, we already pre-filled the oil filter. So it says that your capacity is 6 quarts. Whenever I order oil, I always get 7 quarts so that I can top off as needed. And then that way, as oil, like regular oil consumption happens, I can top off whenever I need to, like in between oil changes. It's very rare, but typically your high horsepowered vehicles will have a natural oil consumption use. Obviously, if it's a lot, then there's probably something wrong, like an oil leak or something of the sort. But specifically when it's hot, that's when it typically has a little bit more oil consumption to it. So usually I'll start by putting all 6 quarts in, and then I will back it out in between the lift, let it run for 5 minutes, and then check the dipstick and top off as needed. Alrighty, so let's check this oil level. Pull her out, wipe it off, stick her back in. Beautiful. Right at the very tippy top. So it's right here at the top etched line, and that's perfect, kind of where we want it to be. I'm gonna check it one more time. Alright, cool. It's so hard to see on the camera because I can never get the dang thing to focus. Alright, so to change it on the dash, don't have your foot on the brake or the clutch. Go over here, push it twice to go to run, but don't start it. Wait till it comes up on your dash, and then you're gonna come to your steering wheel, go down, and go down to, click down on your steering wheel until it goes to vehicle info. And then if it's not directly on this one and you have to scroll over, then just use these arrows. But find where it says oil life, which is right there. And then you're gonna hold down the center OK. and it'll go to 100. And that's all she wrote. Then you're good to go. So I hope that helps y'all out with you being able to now do your own oil change on your own Challengers with Hellcats. This also applies to the TRX as well, or any Hellcat for that matter for the most part. If you need help with the TRX models for an oil change, I believe I already have a video on here. I'll have to double check that. I know there is one on my Instagram, so you can check me out at the Cummins Cowgirl, or also my shop page, CC Customs Builds on Instagram. So I hope y'all have fun wrenching, and see ya!